Hello learners, welcome to session 6 of Unit 4 in the course Assessment in Maths Education. In this session, we will discuss marking schemes and then scoring rubrics. My name is Munkaila Dasmani, your course instructor. By the end of this session, you should be able to explain what marking schemes and scoring rubrics are, describe how marking scheme and scoring rubrics are prepared, and also identify the significance of marking schemes and then scoring rubrics in classroom assessment. Marking schemes. As a teacher, the marking schemes or the scoring rubrics are what guides you in scoring your student responses. They are necessary for objectivity and consistency scoring. They help us avoid biases when scoring. So as a teacher, it's better you prepare your marking schemes or your scoring rubrics for your exams because they are very necessary, and it also helps you to avoid biasness and also not make a mistake giving higher marks to other students and then giving lower marks to another person on the same answer or on the same question. So when you have your scoring or your marking scheme or your scoring rubrics, then you are free to go. So the marking schemes are best possible answers expected as responses to specific questions, as we know already. Now we have two types of marking schemes, and that is we have analytic schemes and also have the holistic schemes. So we take them one after the other. Analytic scheme. The main elements of the ideal answer are identified and points are awarded to each of them. So you have question 1a, we want to solve a linear equation. So the first, they find the LCM, they expand. So the main ideas they identify and you award marks accordingly. So identification could be in the form of underline of keywords. As a result, scoring with analytic schemes are also called point score methods. So each one there's a point to be scored. So in that instance, we can refer analytic scheme as point scoring scheme. Now we have holistic scheme, also known as global quality scoring. A model answer is prepared and used as a standard for scoring. However, criteria for scoring partial and full credit are built into the scheme for differentiating of scores or the marks. So you want to conduct experiment on a certain mathematical investigation, or we want to conduct mathematical investigation. Let's use math investigation. So what you do is that you do a model, and then that teachers comes together, or a group of scholars, they come together and do a model, believing that that should be the best or it should be similar like that, and then based on that model they can use that one to mark the subsequent ones they will give to the student to do. So a model is being conducted, and then they also identify the criteria for scoring partial or full credit. So based on that model, what the student will do will determine whether the student will get the full marks or partial or high marks or not marks at all, and that is holistic scheme. Points to note in constructing analytic marking schemes. So to construct your analytic marking schemes, you have to prepare the best possible answer of broad components of the required responses to each item. If analytic scoring scheme is to be used, underline the keywords for which points are to be awarded, and that's we call it points method. So you divide the total score for each item to the relevant portions of your scheme based on the relative importance of each idea or score. At the end, all the points are added to give a total, and that gives total score. If question 1 is 10 marks, expanding your award marks, grouping of like terms your award marks, dividing award marks, final answer, adding of the unit your award marks, or you subtract marks, then you combine, or after adding, or you get the total marks for that question. So let's note here another analytic one. In mathematics, we use scores such as B. B indicates factual marks. Some people say bonus, or some people already say bonus, others say factual. So any of them is fine. A record of an appropriate formula or defining variables used in the process. So if they call certain formulas or formula, sometimes they are word marks. Sometimes too, when they define, maybe it's a word problem, you say let x and y represent the ages of so and so and so and so, or let x be the age of this person, and then they say maybe b1, and that's the factual, or some people say bonus. Or when they construct a frequency table and then the table one place, they can be factual marks or bonus marks there. Then M marks indicate method marks, method, and then A are accuracy. Some people also refer A as an answer. If the final answer is fine, they say A. Others will say once they've gotten the final answer correct, then it's accurate, you award the A mark. So the M marks is the method the person used, and you have A for the accurate or for the correct answer mark. So this is a typical example how to score in mathematics. This question is in your course handout book, which was in word problem. So the solution says let the number of pineapples be X and the number of mangoes be 1, and that's B1, factual mark B1. So here if the student say let the number of pineapples be X and was not able to write the number of mangoes, you may deduct half from that, and it depends on the marking scheme. Then being able to write the inequality correctly, M1 A1, because the accuracy is there and then the method is correct and everything is accurate, so that's why we have accurate answer there. And the second one, being able to divide, method is correct and it was accurate, so get A1. And then the method is correct, third step and the final step, method is correct, the answer is correct. And then minus half E, the E stands for each error. You minus half each error the student make, and then the number line also is B1, that's factual mark, and that's a bonus mark. Okay, they are all correct. Points to note in constructing holistic marking schemes. So I'll leave this one for you to read. This is your course material. And then how do you score AC test? AC test. Okay. Now I'll read some few of them. To score AC test, first score test without knowing the person whose paper is being scored. You want to score AC test, make sure the one you are scoring you don't know the person. That's why in some instances the names are not written in WSC or in standard examination. You don't write name, it's only index number. Test must be kept as anonymous as possible, and that is it. So to reduce the halo effect, we do that by reducing what we call the halo effect. Then keep scores of previous grading items out of sight when evaluating the rest of the items. You don't need to see previous ones before you vary the rest. It can influence you. And then grade the response items by item and not by script. Score all responses to each item before going to the next item, and this reduces the carry over effect. So the carryover effect occurs when the mark for a question is influenced by the performance on the previous question. Some teachers say, oh yeah, this guy did well in the previous question, he had everything, second one he had everything, third he had everything, so he's good student. So this one is a small mistake he made, so let me give him everything, or let me give him maybe higher marks. No, we don't need to do that carryover effect. Our student didn't do well in the previous session, he's getting 0, 0, 0, 0, and then one particular question score, or you say, oh, how possible are you scoring all in this question, but the previous one you had 0? No, he can't. When you try to mark it down, when you do that, you are doing what we call carryover effect, which is very bad to practice as a teacher. Okay, so periodically rescore previous score papers, and then you can read the rest. That's fine. Okay, you have more steps here. Scoring the essay test, you have 6, 7, 8, 9. Make sure you go through. They are in your course material. And then 10, 11, 12, the same thing. Make sure you go through these steps, very necessary. Okay, so let's look at the second one. Now, we've seen what marking scheme is. Let's see what a scoring rubric are. A rubric is a descriptive or scoring tool for determining the level of performance or quality of a piece of work. So it consists of two dimensions, that is pre-established performance criteria and then also performance level, and that's another name, standards, directly tied to the stated learning objectives. The scoring scale is used to assess student performance along a task-specific set of criteria, and that is what a scoring rubric does. Types of rubrics and their uses. First, an analytic rubric. This divides a product or performance into essential traits or dimensions so that they can be judged separately. So as I've already explained, is to divide it into marks such as factual marks, method marks, and then accurate marks. A separate score is provided for each trait, and each dimension is separately rated, resulting in a more detailed analysis than is provided by holistic rubrics. So I said that already. Analytic rubrics are, or we can say the analytical rubrics are usually more useful for day-to-day classroom use since they provide more detailed and precise feedback to the students. You conduct exercise in class, you mark step by step. You award marks where the student has this wrong. You explain to the student this area. Maybe you provide M0 there. The student will ask you why, say, or you explain, attach, this step is wrong. Even if you don't explain, the student will realize that those steps were wrong. That's why it was marked wrong. But when you judge overall and give student 2 marks out of 10, with that showing in the work where the student did not perform well. When you do that, become holistic, and that place, the overall judgment will not help student to know where he needs to improve. So you should actually help students to know where areas they need to improve on, and also recommend them on where they have done well. So using an analytic rubric in classroom is good to go, or it's good to solve this issue. Great. So we are looking at the second one, a holistic rubric, and this involves one global holistic rating. So it involves one global holistic rating. So it rates it at once. It doesn't break it into traits by awarding marks to each trait. This one, yes, it's rate them together as a whole. It gives a single score or rating for an entire product or performance based on overall impression of a student's work. As I said earlier, in essence, one combines all the important ingredients of a performance or product to arrive at an overall single judgment of quality. So example will be the portfolios are often assessed using holistic rubrics. So you can say step 1, B1 for factual, and then M for method, A for answer, and then expanding grouping. No, they judge the total as a whole, so the marks will be awarded. So in holistic rubrics, they are usually more useful for summative and also large-scale assessment where an overall performance rating is not needed, or is rather needed, where the overall performance is actually needed. When the overall performance is not needed, we don't need the holistic one. We only need the analytic. But once the overall performance is actually needed, we have to go in for holistic rubric. So we look at the differences between the two, holistic and then analytic. Performance is scored as overall impression, judgment of how well someone has performed on a task. A task considers all the criteria instead of separate as in analytic. So performance divided into essential trait or dimensions. So as I said, divide into trait or dimensions, and that is the analytic. But holistic overall judgment is made And then also, holistic combines all important ingredients of performance to arrive at an overall single judgment of quality. So overall judgment, which they believe is the quality, but for the analytic, detailed analysis of the ingredients of the performance is being done. So each ingredient is being awarded separately.